though I have never been bullied, these are the 3 things I do. First, number 1, I would tell somebody, preferably like a trusted adult, or just tell somebody. Number 2, I would try and avoid the bully. If I can't avoid them, then I'll stand up for myself. Number 3 is go back to step 1 and tell someone.
Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. I'm Hope the mom.
And I'm Faye the daughter, who has lots and lots to say.
And today we're diving into a topic that is a huge part of our lives as human beings, and that is
school.
Whether you're in a traditional school, homeschooled, or doing a bit of both, we have all the stories and experiences to share with you because we've done it all.
Yep, we all know school isn't just about marks. It's about friendships, dealing with teachers, and managing homework, and even figuring out how to navigate the tough parts like bullying or peer pressure.
That's right. In this episode, we're going to chat about what school looks like for different kids. We'll also talk about our own experiences, about the good, the bad, and everything in between. So if you're a parent, a student, or just someone who remembers their own schooling days, you must stick around because we've got a lot to cover.
So grab your crayons, get comfy, and let's have that conversation. So let's get into it.
So as a child who's experienced both traditional schooling and also homeschooling, I want to hear from you. What has the experience been like?
So actually, I feel very privileged to have been able to experience both sides of the system, and I am here to share all of my experiences with you guys.
Before we get into anything else, I want to know from you, do you miss going to a traditional school?
Absolutely not. I do not miss waking up at 6 a.m. to get inside a transport. No, thank you. However, I do miss looking forward to seeing my friends and all of the school drama.
Okay, I feel like I want to go back to the drama later on. For now, I just want to hear from you. Do you think school is important?
Yes, I do feel like school is important, but I remember you'd always say that school always starts at home. Would you like telling us more about that?
I'm actually surprised that you still remember that, but yes, it is true. I feel like school does begin at home because at home, that's where you learn the basics of being a human being. I know that there are parents who expect teachers to teach their kids every single thing, but the basics must be learned at home. So school definitely does begin at home. And I'm saying this as a parent myself and also a person who has worked in a school where I was exposed to different kids, actually a lot of kids. Even though I wasn't a teacher, I wasn't teaching the kids, but I was working in the office because I'm a finance girly. But I still got to see how kids are manipulative and some are just unruly. Kids who are ingane ezingafundisekanga from ekhaya, you can just see them. So which is why I say school begins at home, because even if you can go to school and you're acing your maths and all your other subjects, but if your basics are not there, then it's almost like, what are we doing?
I actually do know a few kids that are smart at school but troublemakers at home.
So as a child who's transitioned from private schooling to homeschooling, I want to know, do you think there's anything that is different between the two systems? Like, is there anything that you can tell us that you feel is very different now that you're homeschooling compared to when you were going to traditional schooling?
There are like a lot of differences, but like I'd say my number one would be the mornings, like having to wake up at 6 a.m, bath, get dressed into an ugly uniform and such things. It's just I'm so grateful I do not have to do that anymore.
Talking about waking up in the mornings, I actually remember the chaos when that was still happening. It was just, I'm also grateful I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to wake up people to go and take a bath and lunch boxes, and someone didn't do their project, and it was a lot. And yeah, it's take me off the show. at the cameras because, wow.
As a homeschooler, I feel very grateful that I have control over my schooling life and that I can do things at my own time. For example, when I'm not feeling well, I know that I can take a break off of school and then I'll come back to it later when I'm feeling better because that helps balance out my mental health. Not to put your business out there, but when we used to go to private school and we were speaking English all day, like most of the day, and we came back home, automatically we would still be speaking English because we were speaking it all day long. But then she would be like, "She and this was let's say 18. Like, do you see a white person anywhere here?" And it was like, oh, okay, time to go back to Zulu. Like, okay, can you tell the people why you traumatized us like that? Are you ready to pay for therapy one day?
Okay, you said a lot of things, but firstly, I want to respond to the therapy. I've always said that if there is something that I'm doing for your own good and you guys feel like I'm traumatizing you, I will happily and gladly pay for your therapy whenever you guys feel like you need it. So when you guys feel like you need therapy for things that you feel like I've done and it was only for your own good, I will happily pay for the therapy. So I hope that you're answered. So now the next part. And then going back to the point of speaking English when you're at home, I think it's nice when a child can communicate and express themselves clearly in English and they can understand when other people are speaking English. It's very nice. However, it's also important, well, at least for me, I don't know, every parent has their own parenting style, and I've always made sure that you guys can speak perfect English, but then you can also speak your own language, because I mean, masi emakhaya, right? Say we go back home to Vagasha and then you can't communicate with other kids. You can't speak isiZulu or isiSotho because you speak English all the time at school. It doesn't make sense to me that you don't know your own language, but you speak other people's languages perfectly. So I've always tried to keep that balance to make sure that even though you speak perfect English, but you can also communicate in your own language. However, disclaimer, this is not to bash on parents who want their kids to speak English all the time. Like I said, this is just my choice and what I've always done. And if you want your kid to know perfect English, but then you find that the child's name is Ayanda Zulu, but then the same Ayanda cannot speak isiZulu, that is your own thing. Do your own thing. And yeah, we're not judging, we're not bashing anyone, but did it not help? Like,
Low-key did.
Low-key?
Low-key, yeah. It helped.
You can speak English, but then you can also communicate in Zulu. You can hear when someone is speaking Sotho, even though you can't read or write it, but you can, you can speak it.
Yeah, then I mean, 50-50.
Okay, since uyakwazi ukukhuluma isiZulu, yini idonkey ngesizulu?
Donkey, yolo.
3, 2, 1.
Angazi.
You see? Okay, it's fine. I was donkey with him. So now I want to know. I also asked you this question when you were 6 or 7. I think I do have proof of it because I did a video also. So now I want to know, yini imbongolo in English. Let's see if you've learned.
A bungalow? I don't know, it sounds the same.
And this is exactly why I've always wanted them to learn their own language, because I just asked her what is imbongolo in English and she's saying bungalow. So okay, well, they can speak Zulu, they can communicate. Okay, so I want you to tell me, do you think I did a good thing by forcing you guys to speak Zulu, mansekaya, and then speak English when you're with white people at school?
Yeah, I think you did a great job because that helped us like get used to it. So manje sesiyasazi Zulu kahle, and like we mix sentences here and there. What if we don't know like a certain word? We just use Zulu, and like it's really helpful. So well done. High five.
I want to hear from you. I know a lot of people have this perspective when it comes to homeschooling and homeschoolers. They think that you guys don't have a social life. So now I want you to tell people, what does your social life look like now as a homeschooler compared to back when you were in private schooling?
So I feel like a lot of people are uninformed about homeschooling, so I really don't blame them for thinking like that. Honestly, I can't relate because my social life is great and it's way better than how it was when I used to go to school. I don't know who told people that socializing only happens in school, because as a homeschooler, I get to go make friends everywhere, and when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. So socializing doesn't really happen in class because you're meant to be listening to the teacher and following the rules. So
That's actually true.
yeah.
Now that we're talking about socializing, I remember when I first took you guys into homeschooling, a lot of parents that I knew back then, before COVID even happened, they told me that, oh, why would you homeschool your kids? They're going to be depressed, this and this and this and that. And then when COVID happened, the same parents were coming to me to ask for advice. Oh, how have you been doing it? Please give us tips, because now our kids have to do this homeschooling thing since they are not, there is lockdown and the kids are no longer going to school. So I think you're right when you say people aren't informed, so people just assume, they talk negatively about things that they do not understand. I think we now live in a world where we're spoiled for choice. People can do online schooling, people can do homeschooling, people can, there's a lot of things that we can explore, but then people just want to follow one thing and they think that's what's right. But I think over the years, I just jumped in with this homeschooling thing and I had a lot to learn, and now I think I made a great choice. And yeah,
Well done. Yes, you made a great choice, mother. Well done. High five. So, I know that you took us to private school. Thank you. But I also know that you learned in the villages. So, how different was your school life versus ours?
Okay, I don't know what going to the villages has to do with everything, but I actually did. I grew up in the villages, and my schooling life was very different from you guys' schooling life. But back then, it didn't feel different because that's all we knew. I mean, we grew up in the villages. We didn't see anyone speaking English. We didn't see a white person. That was it. The only time I would see white people was when I would come back home to Joburg. But during school time, I would be in KZN, and yeah, that was that. Everyone was going to the same school. We were eating the same foods, doing the same things. So it didn't really feel different back then. But if I have to compare it with you guys, it's extremely different. For starters, we had to walk to school, and it was a very long distance. I mean, you see, when we go home and I show you guys where the school is, you see how far it is from home.
Very far.
So we had to walk a very long distance. You guys have never had to walk to school. You know. Second thing is, when it comes to food, nutrition, school lunch, we never really brought lunch to school because most times there wouldn't be lunch to carry anyway from home. So you'll just eat in the morning what we ate previously. So uzodla umfudu mezo before going to school, and then you go to school, you eat when you get home. So that's another big difference. There's actually a lot. If we were to talk about that, we'll speak the whole day. And I think another big thing that was very different, in private schools, they will tell you that, oh, the class is full because we already have 15 learners. In my class, when I was in grade 1, I think there was 120 of us in one class. And I actually have a report that I'm gonna put here so everyone can see how many of us were. So it was those things, but like I'm saying, that to us it didn't feel different or strange because that's what we knew. But now growing up and seeing how things work in different settings, then you can almost see that, you know what, it was actually tough back then, but it didn't feel tough because that's all we knew. So yeah. And also when it comes to speaking English, they would actually laugh at you when you try to speak English because what are you saying? What are you saying? Why would you speak English? You know, even when we were being taught the English subject, they would explain whatever in English, but then because we didn't understand what they were saying, they'll have to explain English to us in Zulu. If the teacher was like saying the cat is drinking milk and we're just staring at the teacher like, what are you saying? Then the teacher would have to say ikati liphuzu ubisi. So now basically we're being taught English in Zulu, and it's almost like you're taking 2 steps forward but then you're taking 5 back, and it's a lot. But yeah, we grew up. I mean, yeah, I'm here now, and yeah,
life is lifing.
Yeah. Okay, so Nafe, I want to hear from you. Do you feel like you learned differently in homeschooling than you did in private schooling?
Yeah, I actually do think that I'm learning differently because like my lessons can be like literally anywhere. It could be in the bedroom, it could be in the kitchen, the park, library, in the car if I want. So like, yeah, I do think that I'm learning differently. For example, when I'm in the kitchen, because I like baking, when I'm measuring ingredients, I am using a basic mathematical skill because that is still a form of learning.
That's actually a good point. I think learning really happens anywhere and everywhere. You're not just supposed to be confined in a class and in a desk for you to learn. You can learn anywhere and everywhere, and yeah.
You can do whatever you want. You can do and be whoever you want.
Yeah, that's true. You can do whatever you want and be whoever you want. Okay, I know you've always been an A student, but I want to know, do you feel like you comprehend the schoolwork better now than you did before, or what's the situation?
So me personally, I've never really struggled with my school marks and stuff like that because I adjust pretty well with both settings. So no comments. My marks are always up there.
Okay, we've spoken a lot, and I want to go back to a point that you mentioned earlier on. You said something about bullying and peer pressure. So now I want to ask, do you have any advice for someone your age, a 12-year-old who's at school and is suffering from bullying? Is there anything that you can tell them?
Even though I have never been bullied, these are the 3 things I do. First, number 1, I would tell somebody, preferably like a trusted adult, or just tell somebody. Number 2, I would try and avoid the bully. If I can't avoid them, then I will stand up for myself. Number 3 is go back to step 1 and tell someone.
Okay. Those are actually good points. If you're watching this video and you are dealing with a bully, please speak up and tell someone, because someone might be able to help you. Actually, there's always help. You just need to speak up. People are not going to help you if they're not aware of what you are going through or what you're dealing with. Those are actually very, very good points. High five.
I feel like we have covered a lot of points about school. So what are your takeaways from this conversation?
I think the first thing would be the fact that schooling doesn't only happen in class. Schooling happens everywhere. In fact, schooling starts at home, because even if you are getting all these good marks, But if you are an unruly child, another point is the fact that we live in a world where we are now spoiled for choice, and it's okay for people to choose the kind of schooling life they want. If you want to be homeschooled or if you want to go to a traditional school, it's all about doing what's best for you as a family or for you as a parent, choosing what you think is best for your kids. So everyone is welcome to choose what they want, I think.
So I think it's time for us to end our conversation. And remember that no matter what you're going through, you are not alone. So be kind to yourself and let's be kind to each other. School might be tough sometimes, but with the right support and the right mindset, you can get through anything.
That is actually a great message to end on. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope today's conversation was very fulfilling to you and it helped you feel a little more understood. And if you have any thoughts, any questions, tips, or whatever, please comment and we'll continue the conversation.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. We'll be back next time with another great topic. Until then, take care, be kind, and keep learning. Bye! Mwah.